What's going on, guys? Connor Hansen from Performance Training here with Adam Cook once again. We're going to take some time to talk about nutrition basics for all those out there who have never really been about nutrition. I know that everybody's probably heard that nutrition is 80% of what you do in the gym, 80% of your results, which I would agree. It's at least 80%. I've had clients that will come in for months and not see any types of change. But every time I ask them, how has your nutrition been? They're like, oh, it's been bad this week. It's been bad this week. But then I have some clients that will lose, 6 pounds in just a matter of a couple weeks. It's like, how's your nutrition? They're like, oh, it's been awesome. I've been sticking to your macros and this, that, and the other. So it's a huge part.
Oh yeah, definitely key. Abs are made in the kitchen, right?
Yeah, seriously. So for those of you who have never dabbled into the nutrition, the science of nutrition, so if you're going for fat loss, the main thing that you want to focus for is a calorie deficit, right? What's your theory on, a calorie is a calorie is a calorie?
I haven't done a ton of research into that. A guy that I like, Gary Taubes, has wrote a book recently that kind of refutes that, but I haven't read it, so I shouldn't say on it. Personally, when I eat less, I lean out. So, yeah. I mean, there's definitely something to that for sure.
Totally.
And making sure you eat enough that you keep your energy up too.
Right.
You do have basal metabolic rate,
totally.
Right? Basically, your resting metabolic rate is the little more layman term. Easily calculable, assuming that your hormones and everything are good. Right. So you definitely want to be meeting that on a regular basis.
Yeah. I usually, if somebody is coming in for weight loss, I'll usually put them on a calorie deficit, depending on what their goals are and how much they're training, everything like that changes these things, a decent amount.
Right.
But the biggest thing is I'll usually put them on 500 to 1,000 calorie deficit per day.
Depending on how overweight they are,
right. If they can afford to lose that, right? Like my sister, I can't put her on 1,000 calorie deficit because then she'd be eating like 500 calories a day, right? Because she's just so little. But then I have clients that are, a little bit heavier, and I can put them on a 500 to even 1,500 calorie deficit per day because, their basal metabolic rate is like 4,000 or something like that. So for them, they can afford to lose the 3 pounds a week, the 3 pounds a week if you subtract that amount of calories.
Something to keep in mind, and something I've been thinking about recently is, and we've talked about it a little bit, is as far as like exercise, right?
Yeah.
So when I kind of got into the training side of things about 7 years ago, I learned a lot of the right way to exercise, the right way to do things in the gym, right? And most of that is held true. You'll still learn stuff here and there along the way, but we have a pretty good grasp on that. It seems like nutrition is always changing.
It is
always something new.
First, eggs are bad for you, then they're good for you, then they're bad for you. It's always changing.
So keep that in mind. So who knows how relevant this will be in a year.
Right.
But right now, there's still a lot of different opinions too, right? If it fits your macros, is that kind of what you teach?
Yeah, so my biggest thing, because that helps with flexible dieting, right? Yeah. If somebody really wants a cookie, you can have that cookie as long as it fits your macros, as long as you depending on the person, you can't have carbs the rest of the day, so you're eating egg whites and chicken, but you really wanted that cookie, so you got it.
Right.
And
a little more realistic, maybe, more achievable.
And the thing that I really enjoy with counting your macros, well, one, it's super easy with phones and apps and stuff nowadays, and two, people can eat what they want, it's customizable, and they learn more, right? So if I give somebody, okay, you need to eat this every single day, one, they're going to get burnt out of those foods, and two, they don't learn why they're doing it. So then nobody takes a personal trainer for life. Nobody uses a personal trainer for life. And so then at that point, when they leave me, they know, okay, carbs are good for energy, but if I'm trying to lose weight, I should eat less of them. Fats are good for maintaining bodily functions. I need to have like a low to moderate amount all the time. And then proteins, if I'm trying to build muscle or even maintain muscles, I should constantly be eating higher amounts of protein, right?
Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of, differing views on that, but it really comes down, I think, the carb side, right?
Right.
I'm a big fan of high fat, high protein in general.
Yeah.
I eat a lot of healthy fats. I try to, and keeping the protein high, The carbs, what I've noticed with clients, it totally depends on the client.
Right.
I had 2 girls, I don't do show prep, but they both wanted to do shows, so I was prepping 2 girls at the same time. Totally different physiques, right? They were kind of both redheads though, so maybe some similar genetics.
Similar genetics.
One girl, it was more on a flexible diet, and
okay.
she was eating sometimes up to like 60% carbs, which was crazy.
Oh, wow.
She was shredded.
Right.
And the other one was down around 20%. So,
right.
And they were in the same phases of training and prep, and I didn't do the finishing work for the last 6 weeks. You know, I used to hand them off to a show prep girl.
Somebody that's a little bit more
I saw really good results with both of them on that drastic of a difference in carbohydrates. And
cool.
I think it's genetic,
right.
personally. What your ancestors ate kind of line you up on how your body metabolizes this stuff.
Totally. I usually I have kind of 3 big things that I try to hit with clients if they're trying to lose weight, right? Bulking up is a whole nother story, but most people are trying to lose weight in our day and age. The first thing is you got to be at a calorie deficit, right? You got to be burning more calories than you consume. The second one is you want to keep at least, you want to keep those carbs lower, because those of you who don't know, carbs spike your insulin. Insulin, in a very layman's terms, takes the nutrients and puts it into the cell, right? And so if you have high insulin, you have high storage of, it also does things with muscles. It's a whole thing, but that, in very layman's terms, it helps you store fat. Insulin does. And so if you have a calorie surplus and you're eating a lot of carbs, you're going to store a lot of fat.
Right.
So you go calorie deficit, lower carbs to try to keep your insulin level low, higher fats, lots of protein, and then lifting heavy, because you got to give your body a reason to hold on to your muscles. Because if you're doing nothing but cardio and then eating a calorie deficit, you'll lose weight, but you'll also lose muscle, and you won't get that good look that you're going for.
Soft.
You'll end up soft. We call it a fat skinny. Yeah, you're skinny, but you don't have any muscle mass, so you just look,
flat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the insulin sensitivity is big. Something I've been doing for maybe the last 2 months, or trying to do, is the time restricted eating.
Right.
That's something I mentioned to you and Brooke, that anybody can do. You can start it right now. If you're looking for something to kickstart an exercise or a diet program, is limiting the window when you eat. So whenever you eat the first thing in the morning, 12 hours maximum, less is better, right? 10 to 8 hours would be ideal of a window to eat all of your calories in.
Okay.
And I used to teach people that it didn't matter when you ate, it just mattered how many calories.
Right.
So I'm trying to get that info that I have learned, part of the evolution of nutrition, right?
Totally.
So what you're doing is, by not eating for however many hours a day, 14 hours a day or whatever it is, you don't have insulin in your system. Right. So that's just like you were talking about. And that's also going to increase your insulin sensitivity. So when you do eat carbs, you don't have to release as much insulin. Your body's a lot more sensitive to what you do release, and just seems to be a lot more efficient for fat loss, gaining muscle. Yeah. Both.
People ask me a lot of times, what about carb cycling, right? Why would you do that? Oh, well, I have a buddy that lost so many weights or so many pounds on carb cycling. All the research that I've done into it, at least the smart individuals that do know a lot about carb cycling, they'll take a lower amount of carbs, a calorie deficit version of carbs, a week's view, and then depending on their training, if you're hitting the gym Monday, Wednesday, Friday, those are going to be like your higher carb days, or like Monday, Thursday, Saturday, or whatever. They schedule their carbs, their higher carb days on those, but your weekly carb intake is the same, but you just do very, very restrictive, moderate on your off days, on your rest days, and then like if you're having maybe just a cardio day, you'll do moderate, and then your heavy lift days where you need more of the carbs in your system to pound out some weights in the gym, you go hard on the carbs.
Well, this is something I tell people, and you can tell me what you think about it, because I don't know if it's right or not. Something I do is if there's something carb heavy, if there's something sugary that I really want to eat, if I got a donut at home that I'm going to eat that at some point. I always try to have that as part of my post-lift meal to just replenish that glycogen. If you're going to do it, that's when I tell people to cheat after you've worked out. You're better off to go in. If you can work out in a fasted state, you're going to be better off there, and then kind of refeed after your workout.
Yeah, this is going...
You agree?
I agree, okay. Yeah, for sure. And especially if you have a starchy carb, or, a sugary carb like a donut or white bread or whatever, and pair that with a protein, those two things, studies have shown that carbs and proteins together post-workout, especially within... They call it the post-workout window, the metabolic window.
Anabolic.
Anabolic window, yeah. And so that is somewhat a myth because people think it's like 30 minutes and then boom, it's 100% done.
Right.
It's like 30 to 60 minutes, you're the most metabolic, and then from there it just starts to slowly taper.
See, and I've taught that and kind of lived that myself, and I've also recently read that that's total bullshit. So who knows, right? A lot of opinions on I believe it though, and
so do I.
It seems, at least to add some discipline, that you're not going to have that
any other time except for right after a workout.
So it's almost
I went to school at Oak Canyon Junior High, and there's a guy there named Coach Gould. Genius of a guy. He should be doing so much more than teaching, but he just loves to teach, and he's just so knowledgeable, and he's changed thousands of kids' lives.
The last noble profession out there, right?
Seriously.
Unless so he kind of a doctor, I guess.
He changed my life in so many ways, especially in the fitness world. But one thing that he told me was that we had like a whole nutrition side and a work, fitness side, blah blah blah, on top of your regular PE stuff. But he talked about how, okay, if you're ever going to eat Smarties or Skittles or whatever, do it after your workout, because your body's going to utilize that a lot more to replenish the stored glycogen in your muscles.
And I've heard that that hour to refeed the glycogen or whatever, I've heard it really doesn't matter. You'll get it, in the next 24-hour window.
Yeah.
But also, I think we're gonna have a guest on soon, Keto Craig. He would tear us apart on all this. So has a totally different opinion on this stuff.
On the carb cycling and that sort of thing.
He's the ketogenic guy. So a lot of different opinions. Not that anything's right or wrong, but this is just our view on it.
Totally.
Like I said, find what works for you, right?
Right. And we should do a whole video on keto and that sort of thing.
Yeah, he has a ton of insight.
Okay. So I had a sister that lost a lot of weight on the keto diet, so.
And Gary Taubes I referenced earlier, he's wrote the book. I wrote a couple books on it, and it's pretty compelling.
Is it?
A lot of it's based on the insulin,
cool.
Because you're basically no carbs for anyone that doesn't know what ketogenic is. Atkins was a ketogenic diet.
It kind of got skewed because they thought eat all the fat and nothing else and all the proteins and all. But like if you actually read the Atkins pamphlet, they talk about eating a lot of vegetables and it's a lot more balanced than what people think of. But.
Sure, yeah, and they say there's no calorie restrictions, but you still want to pay attention, I think, as far as energy systems are concerned. So
totally.
Yeah, something we can delve into with like I said, Craig will know a lot more.
For sure.
We'll talk with him here in the next month or so.
Cool. If you guys have any questions or comments, shoot us questions, comments in the link below, in the comment section below. Follow us on Instagram at Performance Training Utah. Check out our website, performancetrainingutah.com, and hit us up with any questions or comments there. And we'll check you guys next time.